Hey, thanks for joining me today for episode 1 of Business in the Bedroom, a bootstrapper's guide to doing it. I'm your host, Jaime Legagneur, and today I'm going to talk to you about defining your why. This episode is brought to you by Flintstone Media. Listen in and let's do this. So what are you doing? Throughout this show, I want to find out all about you and what business you have going on in your bedroom and create a really solid think tank for you as we go through this crazy journey that so many of us are on right now, especially after this pandemic really shook everything up for us. So many of us are now thinking outside the box or finally dusting off that idea and bringing it to fruition, or at least trying to. Well, we're going to kick off 2021. See you later, 2020. We're going to kick off 2021 with a strong push as we launch this show and community. But I also really want to give you a chance to absorb this stuff. So once we're past the initial launch phase, I'll be releasing every other Monday. But for this launch phase, I've put together 8 episodes that I think are key for setting both of us up on the right path together through this podcast. I really took some time to think through what are the really key components that I needed to hear? What are the key messages that I wish I had heard? And what are the lessons that I learned that were very, very instrumental in me finding success from my business in the bedroom? So they will be delivered not every other week, but for this launch, they're going to be delivered every week in January. And I'll be dropping them in pairs, starting with 2 today. So today's first episode, this episode, is all about defining your why, which I'll tell you more about what that means in a minute. Then episode 2, which I hope you listen to straight away, is titled, You Are Your Own Worst Naysayer. I know it's true. I see you. And then next week, January 11th, we have episode 3. And so episode 3, I get into building a portfolio and how important your reputation is when you're doing that. And episode 4, it's going to be called, I love this, Being Professional, ... while wearing pajamas. Because I know nothing about that. And then episode 5 on the 18th, it will give you a pair of episodes 5 and 6. So episode 5 is called Jacking and Jilling, Learning to Do Everything. Because one of the key things to my own success was learning how to do a whole bunch of stuff on my own. So we're going to get into that. And then episode 6 that same day is going to be called I Can't Come Hang. I have to update my website. If you are a solopreneur like I've been most of this time, then you know what that's about. And then the following week, January 25th, I have 2 episodes, 7 and 8. 7 is The Brokest Days of Your Life. It's like a sad twist on a soap opera. And then episode 8 is Self-Care and Success. It took me way too long to learn the lessons that I'm going to be explaining in that episode. So please listen to that one straight away as soon as it drops so you don't make all the same mistakes that I did. And then episode 9 on February 8th is our first regular bi-weekly episode. So you see how I'm taking this journey on, right? You see how we're launching things and what we're starting with, and everything is meant to really get your creative juices going, get your business juices going, and help you put it all together. So for today, we are starting off the show by defining your why. So let's get into it. And this is my favorite piece of advice to share, because it can apply to not only just whatever you're doing as a business, but to literally every choice you make that requires effort. Losing weight, raising a kid, playing a sport, applying for scholarships, like whatever you're doing, this applies to everything. So it's a great place for you and I to start. So first, I'll start with why I'm hosting this show. See, I'm not just a podcaster hosting this one show. I'm actually a straight up professional podcaster. I own a podcast production house and consultancy firm. It's called Flintstone Media. And I've been growing my business now in its current form for the last 6 years. In fact, if you go to flintstonemedia.com/6 years, you can read all about it. So I won't bore you with all the details of the journey in a 5-minute crunch here. But Though I'm great at what I do as a podcast consultant, a lot of what people reach out to me for more and more these days, whether they're clients, their family members, friends, people in my social media circles, whoever, it's about how to build their business. So in part, that's very intentional. I actually have on my website a banner that you click right on it to get a free consultation. And I don't know how to do that without sounding salesy, because it's not meant to be like a funnel for sales, even though that's a great side effect. It's actually really was just meant because I'm a teacher at heart. I love to impart wisdom and hopefully help people avoid the mistakes I've made by just learning about them firsthand from me instead of experiencing them firsthand through yourself. So through that banner, through those conversations that people have clicked on to talk to me and about whatever it is that they want to talk to me about, typically related to their podcast, but it ends up delving into, honestly, so many different areas. I've just continued to learn so much about what so many of you are trying to do out there. And well, Flintstone Media, it's a business that I've literally built not through a corporate boardroom, but from my bedroom. So I can really, really relate. And literally, specifically from my actual bed. It has been a crooked, exhausting, thrilling, sometimes painful and isolating, but often inspiring and fulfilling and just plain damn complicated road. And honestly, since the very beginning, okay, I started building Flintstone Media as a single mid-30s mom to a toddler. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. Like, yeah, I have a brand new baby and I'm a single woman. Why not also build a business? What? Who does that? Me, apparently. And it was mostly during late nights in my bedroom. That's right. That's where the magic happened. Like, not the kind you usually associate with a bedroom, sadly. I'll probably have a whole episode, if not several, of the reality of the impact of this part of my life on that part of my life. It's so sad. But no, I'm talking about the late nights of heavy eyelids and so many unanswered emails just screaming at you, and an ever-growing list of adjustments to make on my own website with piles and piles of laundry and dishes I swear I'm going to get to tomorrow. While either that or a shower, honestly, I lost so much track through the early years of building my business and my child of when I was taking a shower, to be honest, which, come to think of it, may be a bit more directly related to the reason why none of the other magic was happening, to be fair, but that's a conversation for my therapist. Okay. Yes. I've been on calls with clients and potential clients trying to land a sale, trying to build my business. And I've done it from my bed. And when I shift and the springs of my mattress creak and like it's never sounded so embarrassingly loud. So if that has ever happened to you, if you've ever been trying to handle a client or deal with an issue or close a sale or whatever you're trying to do to build your business, and your kid runs in from the other room because they spilled milk everywhere or whatever it is, like, it can be embarrassing when things happen in the background and all of that. Just know I get it. I have been there, right? There have been times when I've been hoping that they didn't hear my kid trying to be funny by making fart sounds in the background. And this was way before COVID. Like, no, if working from home is a new experience for you, I'm old hat at it. And I have suffered the embarrassment in more ways than one. So trust me, I've been there and I've done that. So on this podcast, you're going to hear about every single stepping stone and every single stumbling block along my way, right? All of my great accomplishments, all of my favorite mishaps, and how I've managed to stumble my way through and figure it out. So as I mentioned, a cool side effect of having that banner, that click through on my website, is that I've been able to have these amazing conversations with people that have kept my own creative juices flowing. I mean, I've had to think through so many of their situations, their circumstances, other people's goals, what they're going for and are challenged with, that it's really kept me on my toes. So it's been great. And really, it's an extension of my original why and how I got into this business in the first place. So I had a lot of reasons for starting my very own podcast more than 6 years ago. It was a passion project called Curve the Cube, where I interviewed people mostly local here to me in Florida, because I like to meet them in person whenever I could. But it was about how they either accomplished something or working toward a goal or had gained success or trudging through trying to gain success, doing something that they loved and were passionate about, right? Because I had a question. I'm like, people are successful doing this. Some people have to be successful doing something they love. So how are they doing it? Why not me? But one of my whys for doing that as a podcast was that I wanted to not just learn their answers for myself, but I wanted those answers to help as many people as my voice could reach, like you. And another amazing side effect of doing that show was getting to interview some of the most amazing people, like Amir Arison from The Blacklist, or Congresswoman Lois Frankel, or Tammy Stronach. You might not know her name, but I bet you know her film. She was the childlike princess in Never Ending Story, my favorite movie of my entire life, like total dream come true. And I got to interview tons of musicians and artists and entrepreneurs like yourself, or creatives like yourself, radio hosts, paranormal investigators, even authors, movie makers, dancers. I mean, you name it. So for whatever specific thing you are going for, that is a great place to start for more specific conversations in that field. So go to curvethecube.com/podcast. And please forgive the sound quality in advance. I was just starting. But one thing I noted throughout meeting and talking to all of those people was that they all had a really well-defined why, a reason for their drive. Sometimes it was a childhood memory, it could be a conviction or a real passion or a curiosity itch that they had to scratch, any kind of reasons, but they had a really solidly defined why. And it was that why that kept them going. And it was those people who best understood their own why and most often went back to it, to their most pure, true root of their motivation, of their passion. Those are the people that found the most success. So why does this work? Why does it work to define your why? Simply because no one can best tell you, especially in the most difficult and dark times of this struggle. Trust me, there are going to be difficult and dark times. If you have not experienced them yet, they're coming. And no one can best tell you during those times why you should keep going better than you can. So I had an awesome conversation today, actually, with someone who clicked through that banner. It was a new buddy of mine. His name's Jesse. He reached out looking for tips on starting a podcast network. So we chatted for about maybe 20 minutes or so. And afterwards, I was just giddy, absolutely giddy. So I helped him, right? But he was so thankful. And I felt that I really made a difference. And I absolutely love that feeling. That is my why. So when I was just starting my journey into building my business and hitting those early milestones years ago, even like the littlest things like, yay, I just learned how to do this thing in the software, the editing software that I wanted to do. Or, yay, I just figured out how to schedule social media posts. Like, whatever it was, even the littlest things. I would call my friend Vivi, shout out to Vivi, hi Vivi, who'd say with every update, Jemmy, you're doing it. And that's what I want to be for you. I want this show to be a guide for how to do it. And I want you to be your own constant source of why to do it. So with Curve the Cube, that old podcast, I was exploring how other people were doing it. And I was so inspired by them and by this revelation about the strength of their why and that through connect that they all had about how powerful and secure they each and all were in it, that I talked about that in episode 114, which was called A Few Do's and Don'ts of Being Relentless. And I want to share a clip from that here. So please forgive the audio quality in advance, as I was still very early in my podcasting. And to be fair, I was probably recording this from my bed. Like literally from my bed.
So now I'm going to give you what may be the best tip I can ever give you on how to stay relentless and keep from giving up. In fact, as I said earlier, this advice will work really well in most of life's scenarios, and it's super simple. Create your own why list. No one can be as convincing and motivating to you as your own voice can. You know all your innermost secrets, motives, reasons, from the deepest to the most shallow, from the selfless to the most selfish, from one vision of your dream to the next. No one knows it better than you. So start a list of your why and add to it whenever a new thought comes to you. For example, a few things on my own why list are creating a legacy for my son that inspires him to pursue his dreams, dictating my own schedule, damn right, inspiring a movement for people to boldly do what they dream, and being able to say that I am an independent woman, an entrepreneur. What a great list, right? I mean, it's hard for me not to look at that and not feel super motivated to keep going. When you start to feel tired, unmotivated, or discouraged, turn to that list. Read your own words. Then thank your past self for the best motivation you've ever received.
So clearly, I've believed in the power of your own why for a long time. I started Flintstone Media in the first place because I randomly discovered that not only did other people's dreams and ambitions really matter to me, but also that I was really, really good at helping them come about. And with Curve the Cube, I was exploring why and how other people did it so I could figure it out for myself, right? Curve the Cube ended up being my own roadmap of how to do it. So this show is about how I've been doing it so you can figure it out, whatever it may be. And I'm not going to be holding anything back, like anything back. The good, the bad, the ugly, it will all be included and thrown on the table in this show. I'm spilling all the tea, y'all, okay? Because it was really challenging. And for the first several years, both before my full lean into podcasting and for the first few years in that full lean focus of podcasting, my business was a one-woman effort. So that's where I'll be focusing the most with this podcast, the journey of that effort and what that looks like when you're doing all of that on your own. And that's the niche I'm most hoping to guide, because I imagine you found this show because you are trying to build a business from your bedroom. But with my business, I now have an amazing team. And I'll certainly be sharing a lot as well about the steps I took to expand beyond myself and into that teamwork environment and all the ups and downs of that side of the journey too. But at every step along the way in building the business, building the team, I've gone back every single time I've had a difficulty, every single time I've had a challenge, every single time I've had a choice to make. I've gone back to my own why, making other people's dreams and passions come to fruition. So this show is just my latest step in the direction of that effort, and I'm so happy that you've come here to be guided by this content. So how do you define your why? Well, take time to define your why right after listening to this podcast, unless you're driving. Well, if you're driving, pull over, okay? But whatever it is, just stop for a minute after this episode ends and start to write down your why. Start writing a list. Pick a means that's super convenient and always with you, like your phone. You can put a list there, down in there. Use a notebook that, you carry around with you, whatever. Just make sure it's something super, super convenient and jot down every single reason for your why as it occurs to you in the moment that you're feeling it. From the most serious and deep to the most frivolous and ridiculous. Like even the ones that you would never admit in reality in person. Who cares? Just write it down. Like I said, this idea can apply to anything, and actually first came to me when I was starting a weight loss journey in 2010. I lost 70 pounds in a very healthy way. Don't get worried when I tell you how quickly I did it. It was very healthy, I promise. But I lost 70 pounds in 6 months. And I did it by keeping focused on my whys. And trust me, they ranged, okay? Everything from wanting to be able to live a long life and play with my grandchildren to wanting to fit again into a cute pair of jeans, y'all. Seriously. Who cares what the reasons are? When they come to you, when you're feeling them, write them down. No one needs to ever see this list but you. So be honest, and you need to be honest with yourself. And consider the list a living document. Just keep adding to it as the ideas come. It gets however long it gets. Because you never know which one of those whys that you're writing down is going to be the exact thing that you need in your most desperate moment at some point later. So when you are feeling at your weakest, you're most tired, you're most desperate, the most unsure of yourself, revisit that list and keep going. And with that, keep yourself going. Pause only to start writing your list, but then keep yourself going right on into the next episode so I can accuse you of being your own worst naysayer. That's right. I see you. Thanks for tuning in. I'm assuming you're listening to this because you're either running a business in your bedroom or thinking about it. Well, I want to hear from you. Email me about it and send me your questions at jemmy@flintstonemedia.com. That's Jemmy, Jaime, at flintstonemedia.com. Then join the conversation by looking up Dreamers Become Doers on Facebook. It's a really, really, really great group in there. And I'm also on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter too as Flintstone Media. For show notes and details about today's show, head to bizinthebedroom.com. That's BIZ inthebedroom.com. And remember to hit it hard, keep the lights on.